Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Second to None podcast. I am Blaine Gilmer here with my co-host Tavarres King, and we are live here on the 365 Sports YouTube channel, and as always on the Believe Podcast Network. We're here talking all things SEC football related, and Tavarres, that would include a busy week that was when it comes to the early sign-in period. The SEC once again dominating the early sign-in period with the top three ranked teams all coming out of the Southeastern Conference: Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and then even on down at 5, a future SEC team in the Texas Longhorns that'll be coming in before too long. So, it's always interesting to see the next crop of talent that's going to be coming into I think, the greatest conference in football.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you said the greatest conference in football is gonna pull, I think, the greatest players in high school to come play in it. And then you said it, 1, 2, and 3 are teams that I expected to be there. Bama, Georgia, and Texas A&M. Obviously, we talked about my man Nick Williams and the recruiting job he's done over there. So you expect the SEC schools to be up there, but there's some other places that are doing some pretty dope things as well. But just looking on that list, I'm kind of feel bad for old Florida. They're way down there in recruiting, but I think Vandy's in front of them if I saw that right.
Yeah,
But
Vanderbilt in the rivals rankings, Vanderbilt is got a top 30. They're in 35th in the country right now as we speak. Florida has hopped up into 46th overall right
oh,
now. So
folks,
Vandy,
folks trying to get that edification.
that's it. That's it. They're trying to get over there and get some great education at Vanderbilt. But listen, Clark Lee, we've given them a hard time, TK, on this show, but that's not an easy task that Clark Lee took on over there. Him and Barton Simmons, who was a high up scout executive type deal over at 24/7. He's come over 24/7 Sports. He's come over to be the general manager, and they're really trying to do an overhaul there. So we're going to touch on all of these SEC teams. Some teams going to the transfer portal, and we're even going to hit the Travis Hunter effect, even though that didn't have as much to do with SEC. It was more Florida State, but Georgia did make a run at Travis Hunter, but he ends up going to Jackson State. And we're just going to kind of talk about how that and NIL and all this kind of stuff is going to change the world of recruiting as we know it. But guys, one thing we wanted to mention is right off the bat, we got to thank our sponsor here, Bet Online. If anybody would have had a bet odds on Travis Hunter going to Jackson State and laid down that one early, I'm sure you would have made a nice little penny off of that one. But guys, Bet Online is back and better than ever, and it's got a new web interface for the rest of the NBA season with more props, odds, lines ever before. It's bowl season as well, so you can bet on all those games. Bet Online remains your number one spot for all your basketball and football action this season. So as I said, head over to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code BELIEVE50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the available offers for the 2021 season. Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. Bet Online, where the game starts. And TK, we're going to start with Texas A&M here, who is having maybe the greatest class in recruiting history. Not just this year. They are putting together a unbelievable class, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of share a little bit about these rivals rankings here. I'll go ahead and put those up on the screen if you're watching on the 365 Sports YouTube channel, because it is quite remarkable, TK, the number of 5 and 4 and 5 star recruits that they are putting up here right now. Texas A&M is coming in here with 3 5-star recruits on the season, on this recruiting cycle so far, and 20 4-stars right there. You see Alabama has 24 stars, but only 1 5-star recruit. So 27 total commits for Texas A&M. They added another one in Denver Harris today, just blue chip corner prospect over there. Tavarres, we've talked about Texas A&M and what they should be able to do with Jimbo Fisher and that staff that he's put together over there. And also, it's no secret now with NIL going on, there's some oil money over there, TK. So are you surprised by Texas A&M with the momentum, even though they had, kind of a disappointing season after going 9-1 in 2020, drop 4 games this year, or three or four games this year? What is it about Texas A&M that you think is getting it done for them in this recruiting cycle?
Man, I really think it's that they've been on the up and up every year. I think we talked about it when we first started our podcast about the job that they've done recruiting and the players that they've had that they have gotten into the building, into the university, into that program, and they've done a good job of that. And we talked about those players not, them not getting the most out of those players. They're getting them there. But they're not, reaping the benefits of having those guys. But they're doing a damn good job of getting every bit of the talent pool that's out there. And we talked about it before early on. A guy that's a big integral part of that is a guy that came from, our place, Nick Williams, and he's just racking them up out there, man. Him and Jimbo.
Nick Williams, former Georgia graduate assistant. But if you're looking on here right now, and you can see here on the screen, they've brought in 3 of the top recruits in the entire country, and a defensive tackle, Walter Nolan, Evan Stewart, who is a just unbelievable talent out on the edge, wide receiver. Everybody in the country would have loved to have Evan Stewart. And then Denver Harris commits today. But you see those 3 5-stars at the top. But this man right here is the one that I wanted to highlight, Donovan Green. And I know you did a little breakdown. I'm going to play his film for everybody while you're talking about him. But, they had the big tight end there, TK and Jalen Weidemeyer. But now they've added Donovan Green here to kind of, as Weidemeier's going out, they're bringing Green in to kind of take his place a little bit here.
Yeah, for sure, man. Just a huge body tight end, speed, mismatch nightmare for a cornerback. There you see they're putting him out wide, and he's doing some great things, running slants, running deep balls, just a mismatch nightmare. But the thing right here that you're going to see is the thing that I love. Watch him on the edge, blocking the hell out of this guy. But you don't just see that 1 or 2 times. You see it consistently throughout this guy's tape. He's a physical specimen. He's a physical guy. There you see right there, he's special enough to run double move routes. So he's the type of guy that I think can replace a Jalen Weidemeyer, can be integral in what they're trying to do, can help Zach Calzada out in the passing game, and as well as help that running game.
But Zach's in the portal now, and remember they brought it in dip. We got another one we're talking about here.
My fault. Can help whoever the quarterback is. Can help whoever the quarterback is, because they did have success out wide. They did have guys make plays out wide for them, but this guy right here can be special for them for sure, and you're seeing it right here on tape.
Yeah, Donovan Green is a guy that Georgia is no stranger to trying to get talented tight ends in their program. They even targeted Donovan Green early on, but then they decided to go with Oscar Delp, a in-state guy there. But TK, when you talk about it, a lot of people overlook that part of it with a tight end, a dynamic tight end, the being able to block right on in the run game. In the SEC, especially with what Jimbo Fisher likes to do, be able to establish a run, get play action going early, having a tight end that truly can help with numbers in the box and then also be a mismatch on linebackers and safeties. You see what that's doing for Georgia this year with Brock Bowers. Literally maybe the best tight end in the country. He is in my observation. And I think, I think Texas A&M is kind of gotten themselves one here in Donovan Green.
100%. When you get a guy like that can help you in the run game, is dynamic, can do things out wide from a go ball perspective. You saw this cat running slants. You see Brock Bowers getting in arounds. I think that I saw a few of those on his tape. When you have a cat like that at the tight end position that's special, a big body dude like that, again, it does things from a defensive perspective. It puts defenses in a bind when they have to worry about a guy like that. Um, and hats off to them for getting this cat in there. He's an in-state guy. Hats off to them, man, for finding a Donovan Green.
Yeah, so now you pair Donovan Green with Max Johnson, who entered the portal from LSU. He's been a 2-year starter basically for LSU, at 1.5-year starter. He enters the portal. Now he is coming over. He's a native of Oconee High School there in Athens, Georgia, and now he is coming to College Station to take the place of Zach Calzada now. So we've got Max Johnson, who recently just beat Texas A&M on a throw late in the year for LSU. Now he's coming over and he's going to be, quarterbacking for the Texas A&M Aggies. What's your gut reaction to, the left-handed Max Johnson coming over to be the new signal caller? That's if he can hold off Connor Wigman, who is, a talented quarterback in his own right coming in this class. But it'll be interesting to see, in my opinion, what Max Johnson's able to do. What's your reaction to Max joining the Aggies?
Man, I love it. I love it for Max Johnson. I think it gives him a fresh start, a fresh opportunity to do some things with a coach that understands the game, has been with some phenomenal quarterbacks in the past. And let's be clear, Max Johnson isn't just some slap. He has really good arm talent. He has NFL arm talent. I think the thing that hurt Max this year was just sitting in that pocket too long. But I think that Texas A&M's line is a little bit better than
they were young
LSU.
in some spots
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year, so they'll
exactly.
have
And
that experience.
yeah, they were young. They were young, but they stepped up and made some plays, and I think that they're going to be better up front. But I think that they get a really good level-headed kid in Max Johnson. I think they get a competitor in Max Johnson, and I think they get somebody that's going to be hungry. After leaving a program that in his head probably he thinks should have been his to begin with.
And you know what else they get? They get his humongous 4-star little brother tight end that's coming with him. So his brother his brother was committed to LSU, right? So here's how it all went down. Max decides to enter the portal. His brother decommits from LSU. His brother commits and signs with Texas A&M, and then about 2 days later, Max signs with Texas A&M out of the portal. So a little package deal over there. Brad Johnson's sons. Brad Johnson, a baller in his own right. Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in the Gruden years back then. So Big Bad Brad is what he calls himself now, doing trick shots on TikTok and all that kind of stuff. So you can buy his merch over there. But Big Bad Brad's gonna be sporting the maroon over there for the Aggies, the 12th man at Kyle Field. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that turns out. But they have the number 1 class in the country right now. TK, it almost doesn't seem fair, but the number 2 class in the country is the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I say it doesn't seem fair because, that we saw how loaded they are with weapons in the SEC championship game, what they were able to do against a really good Georgia defense. So they were able to make it look like it wasn't so good. And now they're going to be reloading once again with skill players and all of the all the above, you name it, they're bringing it in this class. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, Nick Saban just keeps chugging right along, doesn't he, TK, adding all these 4- and 5-star recruits.
Yeah, man. I mean, it doesn't stop when you win. When you consistently put guys into the league, when you're consistently the best, you set the bar, and kids want to be that bar, or at least they want to bite out of it. So they're going to get the best of the best. They're going to get the cream of the crop because they produce that kind of play. So they're going to get that, and that's they're getting players all across the board, all kinds of athletes year in and year out, and it hasn't stopped.
Yeah, so let's look a little bit here at this Alabama class. They had Jeremiah Alexander's their only 5-star, rivals 5-star in the class, a defensive end. And so now you're going to have Jeremiah Alexander coming in there right alongside Dallas Turner and Will Anderson, who's back for another year for Alabama. So they are going to be able to get after the passer, of course, next year, bringing in a talented quarterback that'll be the next one in line, probably behind Bryce Young and Ty Simpson. I've been on record and I say I think Ty Simpson will win a Heisman Trophy before all is said and done. Not just because he's going to Alabama. I think Ty Simpson could have went to Georgia, Clemson, wherever he wanted to go. He's that talented of a quarterback. I like Ty Simpson more than any quarterback in this class, so that's a great pull for Alabama. But once again, TK, they're adding receivers. Kendrick Law is from Shreveport, Louisiana. Great talent that can play both sides of the ball. And one player that we're going to break down here, as if Alabama doesn't already have enough weapons on the outside, Kobe Prentice. And I'm going to let you, break down a little bit of Kobe's film here as you did a little research on Kobe Prentice.
Yeah, bro. You said it. They don't. Do they need any more weapons? Do they need any more weapons, bro? The thing that jumps off the tape when watching this dude is obviously speed, 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 speed. He's a guy. He's a guy that has super speed. He's very elusive. Kind of reminds you of a Jameson Williams, and then he wasn't even recruited highly, but when you watch him catch the ball, his run after catch is second to none. Yeah. He's ridiculous, bro. The cat he just understands how to run routes. I think you'll see it here later. His go he runs a couple go routes and stacks the DB. His ball tracking is unbelievable. So I thought they found him another gem to add to that wideout room that consistently produces diamonds. So excited about look at him there. Excited about watching him for years to come. But man, Alabama just keeps finding receivers, bro.
Well, and here's the thing with a guy like Kobe Prentice. You mentioned he wasn't highly recruited. He was. I think he was going to end up going to Maryland, which is no slouch in its own right. But he wasn't looked at one of the best receivers in the country because remember this 2022 class was impacted more than any class ever by COVID. Right? They weren't able to before that summer, before their junior years, really to go on that camp circuit and let college coaches see them up in person. It was all done via Zoom and things like that. But then Kobe Prentice shows up in Tuscaloosa for a camp, and they say, "Hold on, young fella, yeah, you ain't going to Maryland. You're going to stay right here in Tuscaloosa." They offered him on the spot. About a couple of days later, he decommitted from Maryland, and that's all it took. You see, Kobe Prentice is right in line with some of the talented, the John Mechie's, Jameson Williams, the guys that can absolutely fly and just do damage with the ball after it's in their hands.
Yeah, I mean, you see it here, bro. They throw him hella screens. I'm sure he was a kickoff punt return guy, and I'm sure he's gonna probably do that for an Alabama team who likes to get the ball in their playmakers' hands any kind of way they can. And this guy is that. He's a playmaker. When you're throwing a guy a screen and he's taking them 60, 70, 80 to the crib, it's a special type of dude.
No doubt, and that's just an example of that Alabama class. But like I said, they have a lot to look forward to in terms of Alabama. They were missing some guys defensively. They had a lot of young guys, but they're bringing in guys on the back end of that defense. Antonio Kite out of Anniston, Alabama, right there in their backyard. Traquan Fagans at Alabaster, Alabama, which is he was formerly of both Thompson and Oxford High School. So he's been in two powerhouses over there. Earl Little Jr. So he's got that NFL blood running through his veins over there from Plantation, Florida. They're adding a lot in the secondary, and that was maybe Alabama's biggest weakness, and it is now because Josh Jobe is out for the year with a foot injury. So Alabama's starting corner in the playoffs for the playoffs coming up. He's out. So now they're going to be relying on freshman Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's a great player in his own right. And then, of course, they're hoping Jalen Armour Davis is able to come back. So they'll see. But Alabama thin at the corner position going into the college football playoffs. So they made a concerted effort to sign some in this class. And that's one reason, going back to Denver Harris signing with Texas A&M, that's huge for Texas A&M. One, he's not coming in their program. Two, he's not going to Alabama. So that's a big thing for them. Whenever you can sign somebody over Alabama, it's not so much as big as because what they're going to do for you. It's because what they're not going to be doing for Nick Saban. Am I right, DK? I mean,
oh yeah, 100%. If you can keep them from going anywhere, you want to keep them from going there. And if they're with you, they're safe, baby.
Absolutely. And then before we get to the Travis Hunter situation, because even though that's not directly SEC related, we are going to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the number 3 team, the Georgia Bulldogs. They finished under Kirby Smart no less than 5th ever under Kirby Smart in recruiting, and are sitting right now 3rd after the early signing period. They're going to have more guys sign in February, and probably already have had a couple more sign in this signing class, but they won't announce until the Under Armour or the All-American Bowl game. So we'll see how that goes. But TK, they're sitting with 26 commitments right now in this class, and it is a class that is loaded on the defensive side of the ball, and with good reason, because TK, we all know that Georgia is set up to lose quite a bit on that defensive side of the ball this year. They could be losing up to 9-10 starters, from this defense in 2021.
Yeah, when you lose a really good defense, you want to replace it with a really good defense. And I think that, Coach Smart understands that year in and year out. You see that he brings in defensive men, linebackers, DBs of high caliber, because he knows that guys are gonna play at a high level, and then they're gonna leave. So he's got to replicate and replicate what he's done. So that's why you see that 5-year standing of being a top 5 class. That being said, we are going to have our work cut out for us with 9 to 10 guys leaving this defense. But when you're recruiting the guys like a Marvin Jones Jr., it definitely helps out a good bit.
And we're going to show you some film of Marvin Jones Jr., 5-star out of American Heritage in Plantation, Florida, down there. He is, he's Marvin Jones. His dad is an NFL player and former FSU star in his own right. Georgia beats out Alabama and Florida State for Marvin Jones Jr. But just look at this list right here. They've got 5 stars in the class, TK, and that's saying something. You're bringing in 5-star recruits in one class. Georgia doing their thing there. 4 of them are defensive guys, and like I said, that makes sense. Mykel Williams, Marvin Jones Jr., their edge rushers. They're coming in to replace guys like Adam Anderson. He's had that unfortunate situation off the field where he's now no longer with the Georgia Bulldogs, so they're going to be replacing him. Maybe replacing Nolan Smith, Robert Bill, all of these guys that are going to be out of the program here for Georgia next year. So 2 big edge rushers. Keithian Big Bear Alexander is his name there from IMG Academy. Bear Alexander.
Another freak.
Oh, yeah, 6'4", 320, and I think they're being a little bit light on that 320 there, TK. He's one of these only guys that he stands beside Jordan Davis on a recruiting visit, and he doesn't look small. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
when you can do that, you're a big man, and they're going to need a big presence like that in the middle. Georgia is to replace, Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, a lot of those guys leaving that program, Julian Rochester. So they're losing a lot of guys in the middle there, and then Jaheim Singletary, the number 1 corner in the country, a 5-star corner, and everybody saw after the SEC championship, TK, you can never have too many, some people don't like the word lockdown, but lockdown corners, number 1 corners, a guy who's going to be matched up with that number 1 receiver. You saw plenty of those in your junior and senior year. Across from you over there is people trying to take Aaron Murray's favorite target away over there, and UTK across from you, putting the best corner on you. But the guy that we want, and then also the running back, Branson Robinson. If people want to see something fun, this is Nick Chubb 2.0. It looks like, in terms of physicality. I mean, he's a freak. He deadlifts ungodly. Like, he puts like a sedan on this side and a sedan on this side, and just like lifts it up in the air. I mean, he's huge, man. I mean, his arms are like big as my head all the way around. This guy's a bodybuilder, but he can really rumble when he gets the ball in his hands. But the guy that we wanted to show everybody was Mr. Marvin Jones, and I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about his highlights. You broke down a little bit of his film here, TK.
Yeah, bro, he was he was super fun to watch. Another thing that jumps off the one thing that jumped off the tape was just obviously pass rush ability, speed. His speed off the edge is ridiculous. You'll see this several times, him just running around a tackle and just destroying the quarterback. But the thing that I think that is impressive is his closing speed on the quarterback. He'll run around that tackle. That quarterback will step up. There's a time on here that the quarterback steps up, takes off.
There he is, taking it to the house.
Yeah, dude, he's a specimen. Quarterback steps up, and this guy traces his steps. I don't think folks understand how tough that is to do, but
the agility to redirect when a quarterback makes a sudden change like that.
Yeah, man, he is a special player, and the way that he plays, I think goes hand in hand with the hair on fire, energy and effort that Georgia plays with. And hopefully this cat comes in and makes a big impact right away, man. I see it. It's different. The closing speed that he has is different. He's fun to watch, man. We can just let this roll and have fun watching it.
Well, yeah, and TK, the thing that impresses me when you see the elite pass rushers, right? It's because the guys who can turn that corner, can make that bend, and they don't have to slow up to do it, right? They can bend, and they can contort their body to get around that tackle, and they don't. It's not like they're having to slow down their body to do it. They're doing it at full speed, running that hoop, and you see right there. I mean, he just does it with reckless abandon. He's got the length. If he gets close to the quarterback, he's going to be able to affect the quarterback in some way with how long his arms are. So Marvin Jones Jr. is a big get, and I think the biggest need in this class for Georgia, because Georgia's defense has been pretty dominant, TK. But one thing I think you could say is they have struggled being able to get to the passer when they're not blitzing, right? Georgia typically has to blitz and do some stunts and things like that in order. They do create a lot of havoc, but they have to bring 5 or 6 to do it. When they have a guy who, like an Adam Anderson was, when Georgia lost Adam Anderson, they lost their guy who could just beat people one-on-one and get to the quarterback, right? I think that's what you get in Marvin Jones Jr. is a pure pass rusher, a guy who can just defeat blocks, pass protection in one-on-one situations.
Well, it's huge. Just how we talk about for receivers, linemen have to do that for the front. I mean, week in and week out, especially on the NFL level, they're trying to do things to get guys schemed up, like an Aaron Donald schemed up to get him put in one-on-one situations where he can get back there. So it does make it is a great point, and it does make a difference when you get a cat like a Marvin Jones Jr. in the building that can destroy one-on-one mismatches up front in the blocking game.
Absolutely, Ben. We're touching here on the rankings here in the rivals rankings for all of these SEC programs. Excuse me, the number 4 team in the SEC behind Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia was Kentucky. And we've talked about this in the past, TK. Kentucky has put more guys in the NFL draft than any other SEC team other than A&M, Alabama, and Georgia over the last 3 or 4 years, right? They put 6 guys in the league in the last draft. That gives Mark Stoops a lot to go into a young man's home and tell his parents, hey, I can develop him into the NFL because look, here's the track record.
Yeah, I mean the proof is definitely in the pudding, and I think that's definitely going to help, and that's why those guys are up there where they are in the recruiting ranks, um, because they do coach well and they do play well. Do they put it all together on Saturdays? Nah, not all the time, but they're playing for that coach. He's got those guys playing different. We talked about it on the cast before. They're playing a different style of ball than has been played in Kentucky in years past, and people are taking notice. And obviously, the NFL is taking notice. And when the NFL takes notice, that's what guys. That's guys' ultimate goal. Is to make it to that ultimate level. So, yeah, you said it, bro. He gets to go in their house and say, look here, we're putting cats in the league left and right. We're putting more cats in the league than some of your favorite teams. So it definitely is a selling point for those guys.
Yeah, and I think it also says something that Kentucky was able to say, hey, this is how serious we're going to take football. We're going to make this investment to keep Mark Stoops here. They paid up, man. They gave him an
Mhm.
extension, and that extension has incentives on there that says every time you have a 7-win season, you're going to get another year extension. Every time you have a 10-win season, you're going to get multi-year extension. Plus, you're going to get paid more. So, I mean, they're really, I think Kentucky slowly but surely is starting to go all in to the football aspect of things. I mean, they've had some success here recently under Stoops, and now I think they're realizing that it can be sustained up there in Lexington.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I think again we talked about it all year long watching them. I think they're doing some special things. I think Kentucky fans should be excited about the brand of football that they're putting out there and the brand of football that they're playing right now. It's different. It's tough. They're playing defense. So it's fun to watch, and I think they got some things to look forward to, and they definitely do. Obviously, with this recruiting class.
Yeah, a player that I want you to remember the name of for a few years from now in the NFL draft because I think he's this good is Kenyatta Goodwin. He's a 6'8", 305-pound offensive tackle that TK Michigan came after Kenyatta Goodwin. Alabama, Texas A&M all came after Kenyatta Goodwin hard. I mean, had him on official visits here a couple weeks before signing day, and Mark Stoops keeps Kenyatta Goodwin. So that tells you that young man sees something in this Kentucky program.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, dude, it definitely does. And once a guy gets in his mind that this is his place, it's his place, man. You can't shake him about it.
Yeah, and how about this? Kentucky with the overall in the country, the 10th ranked recruiting class, fourth in the SEC, number 10 in the country, bringing in. They're just absolutely rating the state of Tennessee, TK. They're going in there and saying, Josh Heupel, you are not going to get Keaton Wade or Destin Wade. You're not going to get Berrien Brown, a 4-star receiver out of Nashville, Tennessee. So that's what Kentucky has to do. They have to get obviously the best players in the state of Kentucky, but then also go into Ohio, get a couple guys that Ohio State may want, go into Tennessee, take a couple players from Tennessee right there in that surrounding area. If Kentucky can do that, they'll be in good shape. But speaking of Tennessee, you and I, even though you're a Georgia Bulldog alumni, TK, and played for the Dogs, we've not been shy about praising Tennessee and the job that Josh Heupel did. They come in at number 11 in the country after the early signing period, and there's a lot of excitement involved nation. And I think they finally got a guy who is, as long as the Jacksonville Jaguars don't come calling after Urban Meyer's been fired here and take Josh Heupel away from them, I think they've got a guy that is going to do things the right way at Tennessee over there, and there's a lot of excitement about that program.
Yeah, and you're right. We talked about these cats all year long, and the brand of football they're playing, the style they're playing. They're playing an up tempo style offensively. Defensively, they're doing some special things. But Josh Heupel, what he's done, he's got these players playing for him, playing for this university in a different style, and I think a big part of that is who's behind the line. Hendon Hooker is a guy. that
And
that
Hendon Hooker saying that he's going to come back,
that
TK.
yeah, that was huge. That was, I mean,
That's the biggest recruit of the class.
that was huge. I mean, having a cat like that that wants to come back, do some special things, and you've
Which
already seen that,
he
and
could have
you've
went
already
to the
seen
league.
exactly, you've already seen that he's a special type of player. You've already seen that he can be special, um, physically and both mentally for that team. I think that they played different for him, and I think that they played different for Josh Heupel, and I think that Tennessee fans really have something to be excited about. Um, the East, I think the East is going to be fun next year. It's going to be really fun, going to be really competitive.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You know, when Tennessee, I just talked about Kentucky, how they have to go into the state of Tennessee and they have to go into Ohio. Well, Tennessee, there's not enough talent right there in East Tennessee alone to be able to get it done. So, you know, as well as I do from the recruiting process and friends and all that kind of stuff that you play with, Tennessee has to come into the state of Georgia and get some talent. If they're typically when they're rolling, they're getting some guys out of the state of Georgia. Well, they've gotten Addison Nichols, a four-star offensive lineman from Greater Atlanta Christian in Norcross. They were able to come down and get Caleb Webb, a four-star wide receiver out of McEachern in Powder Springs, Georgia. A four-star defensive tackle in Tyree West that was long time committed to Georgia, ends up flipping to Tennessee out of Tift County down there. Justin Williams out of Dallas, Georgia, four-star running back. So when you get those kind of guys out of the Peach State to supplement what you got over there in Tennessee, some of the guys that you're going to get, that really helps out Josh Heupel because, in my opinion, TK, I think the state of Georgia now, it used to be that California and maybe Texas and Florida were head and shoulders above in terms of the number of recruits they produce. But now when you talk about the metro Atlanta area and then also mix in a few in North Georgia, but a lot in South Georgia as well, I think the state of Georgia produces as much high school talent as any state in the country.
Look, I definitely have to agree with you there. Obviously a little biased. I'm a Georgia boy, but nah, I mean you definitely know your stuff. Blame being a little modest, y'all. He a recruiting guru. So if y'all really got any questions, y'all need to ask Blaine anything. He probably got all the questions, all the answers for y'all.
Well, I mean, you coached even in 7A, so you've seen some of the talent
Right.
around here. So I mean, it's just ridiculous. Some of the guys that aren't even looked at the D1 level in Georgia that are really good high school football players. It's a deep talent pool in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, guys care. Guys really care. They get after it. Year round. I think one of the things that's funny, um, not funny, but just cool is the amount of trainers and guys that care about these kids too. So it's really cool to see. And that's probably everywhere, but you said it. We're right here. We see it every day. So it's definitely cool to see here in the state of Georgia.
Two classes that I wanted to talk about, two teams that did it in this class kind of helped themselves out. Auburn really helped themselves out a lot. They started off, I think, before early signing day, not very many commits at all, and now they've just have had a run on some guys here lately. But right on signing day, they climb all the way up to number 16 in the country, TK, after being outside the top 50 coming in. So even though Brian Harsin, that was a tough game there at the end of the year to not win the Iron Bowl in the dramatic fashion that they did. It does seem that there's a little bit of momentum going on there with Auburn. And then the other program I wanted to highlight there was we've talked a lot about Mississippi State, right? Mississippi State has finished now number 13 in the country in recruiting. It was a Mike Leach, 14 in the country in recruiting. And then right above him was Arkansas. So you got SEC West schools right there together, Arkansas, Mississippi State,
It's
and
competitive, bro.
Auburn. That just shows you how hard that division is it not, TK?
No, it's super tough, and even in the recruit, it's tough on the field. It's tough off the field. Even in the recruiting realms, bro. These cats have to get after it. I think that it all starts there. They have to win there first, and this is it's neck and neck. So I definitely think the East and West are both getting more competitive. So our league in itself is just gonna be, man. super fun, bro. As it has been, as it always been, but it's even more fun.
No doubt. And then I said, even Vanderbilt, they're 35th in the country. They're 13th in the SEC, but 35th in the country. So that tells you, if you're 13th in the SEC, but 35th in the country overall, where's that tell you all the talent's going? It's coming down south, baby. It's going to be in the SEC. So that's why we think the SEC is the greatest conference in America. But we're going to talk now, transition over to Travis Hunter. Before we do that, we got to talk here a little bit about Lightbox, TK. And Travis Hunter, after some of this NIL stuff, he's going to be able to get him some diamonds, right? I mean,
Bling.
he's going to be able to get him a little bling and some stuff that's going on with that. So we have to talk about our friends over at Lightbox. Say goodbye to dull gifts. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the brightest gift of the year. Using cutting-edge technology and innovative techniques, they've cracked the science of sparkle, creating the highest quality lab-grown diamonds you can find at a light price, $800 per carat, TK. They have the same chemical makeup of natural diamonds, but are just grown in a lab. Because of their process, they can create stones in blush pink and beautiful blue, as well as a classic white. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the gift that they'll never want to take off price, so they won't have to. They'll really have to make any outfit sparkle. Visit lightboxjewelry.com to add sparkle to your holiday shopping. That's lightboxjewelry.com. Lightbox Diamond, never a dull moment. And TK, it was anything but a dull moment. You and I were texting back and forth, calling each other, being like, bro, is this really about to happen? Is Travis Hunter about to go join Deion down at Jackson State? And just you've talked to people in the industry, trainers, you've talked to people around high school football, you've taught you yourself, being a black athlete, and then him going to a HBCU. Just talk about what this moment means for the history of college football, and also how crazy it is that he kind of spurns, Georgia and Florida State to go to Jackson State.
Yeah, definitely a kind of a whirlwind for college football, but such a cool moment for that kid, such an inspirational moment for him, such an awesome moment for Coach Prime and Jackson State, because it's something that's never been done. A number one recruit has never been um, even thought about to be seeked out by an HBCU. So for him to be the first to do that, I think it's groundbreaking, it's earth shattering. But I think it's about to. I think it's gonna. There's gonna be definitely a trickle effect. I think you'll see others start to take that lead and do that. And I think it's super cool because it brings attention to guys that don't get this national attention all the time. So having a Travis Hunter there, who's probably going to bring more recruits to Jackson State. Having those guys there will give guys opportunities, will shine light on the university, will shine light on HBCUs in general. I think it'll bring more attention, more national attention to HBCUs. So hats off to him for being a trailblazer and just unique in itself. So just hats off to him, man. It's an awesome thing. Awesome thing.
It is, and no doubt that I'm sure he 100% really wanted to be a part of that culture on those HBCU campuses and that unique deal. But I will also say there ain't never been anybody offered 1.5 mil to come to a HBCU either. So
yeah, I was not going to shy away from that bread. We was definitely going to talk about the turkey.
Let me tell you something. Travis, I was talking to a guy right here, and he said, listen, he said that he echoed the same sentiments. He said, it's cool. It's great. It's going to bring a lot of attention to HBCUs, but he said, don't get it twisted, my man. He said, Hunter would, I will leave this guy nameless. He said, Hunter would have went to Idaho if they didn't offer him 1.5 million. He said he'd been up there in Big Sky country if they'd been offering 1.5 million. But and then my only qualm of the whole thing is now Deion wants to come out and act like he just went into Travis Hunter's living room and just beat out Florida State and Georgia for Travis Hunter. He's like, we ain't paying it. we know you ain't paying him, Dion. Barstool Sports is paying him 1.5 million and all the incentives. But come on, Prime. We know that ain't the case.
Look, at the end of the day, it's about this wins and losses. And my man, they got a big dub over there in Travis Hunter, and I think that I really do think that that's gonna kind of have a trickle effect. We'll call it the Travis Hunter effect, and getting some other guys to join them. Obviously, they lost that championship yesterday, but they're right there.
Yeah, they're close. They got
guys. So
they got taken down in the Celebration Bowl by South Carolina State. The guy that I can't remember. I think Jay Walker was his name. Up there in the 3-man booth, he came up there. He came up there in the middle. He said, "Listen, I know Prime's team's been doing it hard all year, but before the game, he said these teams over here in the MEAC, they hit a little bit different than the SWAC over there." And it was true. South Carolina State took it to Jackson State. So Travis Hunter will definitely be a much needed addition over there offensively and defensively for Jackson State as they go next year. But here's my thing, TK. I think as long as you're able to make it a little bit worth their while with the NIL money and things like that, I think there is now definitely going to be more of an open mind for some of these blue chip recruits to go over there. I still think, Jackson State is a little bit of an outlier because of the resources that Prime's been able to bring over to that. Not just the NIL, but he's raised the facilities over there. He's raised the support of the program. That's the biggest difference when you're talking HBCUs and FCS schools compared to places where, like you played at Georgia, is when you go to an FCS school, you're not getting as high quality of athletic,
the study halls, the training tables,
the training
you're not getting all of that, but
the medical treatment. I mean, it's just a different experience. So I think in a selective, I'm talking maybe 5 to 10 guys a year, I think it is going to start to make a change, but I don't think it's going to be some wholesale change. It's going to start, robbing these perennial powers, Alabama and Georgia, from the guys they want to go get.
No, not that, but I definitely think it brings attention to HBCUs. I think it kind of opens guys' eyes a little bit to them. Maybe I can go there.
Yeah.
As well as I think to that point, I think Coach Prime, I think he's doing what he wants to do. I think he's bringing attention not only to Jack State, but to other HBCUs, and you have other guys talking about their colleges and about
and he's bringing attention to Coach Prime. That's what that's one
come
thing.
Come on now, the attention's gonna always be
Prime don't mind. Prime don't mind any attention coming his way now. That's another thing too. But no, he's doing it. He's doing a great job for a lot of those kids over there, and has been an inspiration to a lot of them. But one thing that he has done quite well is he has utilized the transfer portal, and that's the last thing we're going to kind of talk about here is some SEC schools utilizing the transfer portal. TK, nobody doing it better right now than Shane Beamer over at South Carolina, bringing in none other than Spencer Rattler coming in over there from the transfer portal. What is your reaction to the former Oklahoma quarterback? People who thought going into the year was maybe a Heisman favorite. It kind of blew up on him over there in Norman, Oklahoma, and now he's making his way over to Columbia, South Carolina. What's your perception of that pickup by Shane Beamer?
I mean, I think it's a good one for the squad. I think it's a good one for that team. They didn't have a guy. They played with
Zeb Nolan,
my man Zeb Nolan. They played with some guys. I mean,
they brought in a guy from St. Francis. We didn't even know where he came from.
Right, exactly. They played with cats we haven't even heard of all year long. So maybe getting a guy that's played high level football, that's played at a high level. Obviously, you just said it. He was considered a Heisman candidate. Early on, preseason. So I mean, getting a guy like that is huge. And then on a personal note for him, I think it gives him an opportunity to a fresh start, a fresh conference, and a team that I think ended the year on a positive note, dude. I
Hey,
think that
you gotta give Spencer Rattler credit, man. A lot of people said Lincoln Riley was running from the SEC. Spencer Rattler's running right into it.
my boy said, "What's up?
They
Come
said
here."
Lincoln Riley said, I don't want anything to do with that Baton Rouge job. I'm gonna go over here to Los Angeles and take care of that USC deal. But no, Spencer Rattler is gonna be coming, and guess what? Shane Beamer, it's all about connections, right? It's not that, the old saying in life, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, he was at Oklahoma before he took the job at South Carolina, so he had that connection with Spencer Rattler. But he's also bringing Austin Stogner, a tight end, former four-star recruit himself, with Spencer Rattler. So Spencer Rattler will already have a rapport with Austin Stogner, a tight end that he's practiced with, played with, all that kind of stuff. So look at old Shane Beamer pulling him a couple over there.
I like it, man. We talked about Coach Beamer and what he's been doing. Obviously, his guys have been playing um, really good for him. I think that we always talk about you want your team to kind of take your character of your coach, and I think that they've done that. He's a guy that wants to win, and his team looks like they're playing for him to win. So hopefully, getting a Spencer Rattler in there with some additional pieces can add some fuel to the fire that they've been putting out there.
Yeah, and then another team that's doing it upright in the transfer portal is none other than, yes, sir, Mr. Sam Pittman, the pit boss for Arkansas. He's bringing him a couple over there. Here's the thing. A lot of people question that hire, right? When it happened, they're like, is a lifelong offensive line coach, never been a coordinator or head coach before, and Arkansas is going to bring him in. Well, guess what? One of the first things that Sam Pittman did when he became the head coach at Arkansas is he went out and got Coach Jimmy Smith, which Jimmy Smith was the head coach at Cedar Grove High School in Ellenwood, Georgia, who had just won a couple of state championships back to back. And he says, hey, you're going to come over here and be my running back coach. Now, you know this, TK. When you're the running back coach at a college, what are you? You are a recruiting mercenary. That is
Yeah,
what
you
you
out
are.
here.
You ain't got to do a whole lot of coaching. All you guys know how to carry that rock. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to teach them a whole lot. You do a couple bag drills, some ball security. But other than that, you are spending your time
Little pass,
recruiting.
pro. Little pass, pro.
Little pass pro, that's right. But you are spending your time as a recruiting coach, and guess what? It pays off for him 2 years later because Jaden Hazelwood, when Lincoln Riley left, Hazelwood from none other than Cedar Grove High School enters the transfer portal, and it was signed, sealed, delivered. 3 days later, he was in Fayetteville, Arkansas, with the Razorbacks. So they get the number one receiver from the University of Oklahoma, from Oklahoma University, Jaden Hazelwood, comes to Arkansas. And then they've also picked up Landon Jackson, a former four-star recruit, edge rusher from LSU, out of the transfer portal. So not Shane Beamer. He does his thing, but Sam Pittman says, hey, I'm going to raise you two 4-stars here and bring them in. So you got to like what Sam Pittman's doing in the portal as well.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Pittman's always been a guy that's recruited amazingly. Obviously recruited great for the Dogs, and smart. Hell, he's smart. Went and got the cat from Cedar Grove, and 2 years later you get the dude from Cedar Grove. So hats off to what he's doing. Got to give him a yes sir.
That's it. And then, unfortunately for most people out there, maybe the best transfer portal pickup was none other than Nick Saban on signing day, going and getting Eli Ricks, LSU's top corner, other than that was right across from Derek Stingley Jr., 5-star recruit. Played unbelievably there for LSU, and Eli Ricks decides to join Alabama. And we just talked about how they were the secondary was kind of the weak point for Alabama this year, in that defense was exposed a little bit at times by Texas A&M, exposed by Tennessee at times, and now they get a just man-to-man monster in Eli Ricks, who comes in. TK, it just almost doesn't seem fair that Nick Saban's able to go out and get guys like last year going out and get Jamison Williams at receiver, and now he gets basically, in my opinion, the equivalent of that on the defensive side of the ball, and Eli Ricks.
I mean, yeah, dude. Again, going back to what I said at the beginning of the show, folks want to play for the best, and obviously, in losing your coach like this guy did, and losing Coach O, he probably got recruited by Coach Saban early when he was a high schooler as well. So I mean, it probably wasn't nothing foreign to him. But he probably wanted to go play for somebody that he knew was going to put him in a position to succeed, get to the next level, and play for a winner. So no, I don't think it's nothing too crazy.
I hear you. And, speaking of playing for the best, we like to try to put out the best SEC content that we possibly can. It helps us out a lot if you guys subscribe. So if you hadn't done so, you're watching all the people I see in there right now. Go ahead and do me one favor. Just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It's absolutely free. Give us a like if you would. That'd be greatly appreciated. We tried to break down all of the early sign-in period news and notes, some transfer portal, the impact of the Travis Hunter situation, all of that on this episode. TK, next episode we'll be touching on all the bowl games. We're gonna hit Wednesday night. We're gonna come on just a little bit earlier on Wednesday night, so 7:45 Eastern time. Go ahead and mark your calendars, because about 15 minutes after that, Missouri and Army are going to kick off. So we'll sneak in a quick Missouri Army predictions right there at the beginning. So we're not doing it in game. And then we're going to predict all the bowl games next week, bets against the spread, all that kind of stuff. We'll give you some players to look at. So join us on Wednesday night, the 22nd, 7:45 here on the 365 Sports YouTube channel. We will be live to bring you another episode of the Second to None podcast and our SEC Bowl predictions. TK will be talking about two SEC teams in the playoffs, and the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. And TK, an interesting fact, people are already looking ahead to that, potential rematch. I was surprised that Vegas has come out already with an opening line should those two teams face each other again, and they say Georgia is a 1.5 point favorite over Alabama in that game, which is hard for me to fathom after what happened in the SEC championship. But I guess it speaks to the overall body of work that Georgia put together this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to fathom, but me being a dog, I'd have to agree. I'd take the 1 point win.
There you go. One point is all that Dog Nation is asking for.
Hey, check this out.
And you win by half a point.
After seeing what I saw, big dog, I'll take it. As long as we holding that crystal thing at the end.
There would certainly be nothing sweeter than for Georgia fans out there if Kirby Smart and company were finally able to get over the hump in the national championship game, no less, after 2nd and 26 and all that kind of crazy stuff that's happened. That would be quite magnificent. But both have business to take care of against Cincinnati and Michigan, respectively. We'll be breaking down those games and all the SEC Bowl games next week. For my co-host, Tavarres King, I am Blaine Gilmer. This has been the Second to None podcast, and we will catch you next time here on the 365 Sports YouTube channel and the Believe Podcast Network, brought to you by Bet Online and Lightbox.